Boeing stock closed lower. It was the 8th session when it was down amid the latest concerns over Boeing's production processes and its safety. The shares off 2% as investors take in whistleblowers' claims about the 787 and the 777 planes. The complaints about the two went public on Tuesday. Now, what it's all about? A Boeing engineer is alleging the company took shortcuts in the manufacture of these two types and warning that the risks could become catastrophic as the planes age. Boeing, in response, says the claims about the wide bodies are not accurate. It says about the Dreamliner, these claims about structural integrity of the 78 are inaccurate, do not represent the comprehensive work Boeing has done to ensure the quality and long-term safety of the aircraft. Shawn Pruchnicki is a former commercial pilot, now a professor of the Ohio State University Center for Aviation Studies on Safety, Culture and Human Error. The problem here, Shawn, is that, why should we believe Boeing? I mean, their credibility. I saw the whole statement, and basically they're saying they're not even saying we've got it right. The FAA and others have looked into it, and there's nothing there. But what do you make of it?
Well, Richard, I agree with you. I think we have some serious concerns here, and you're exactly right about what would Boeing say and what can we really believe at this point. I think one of the biggest concerns we have here is their comments and the whistleblowers' comments about how the aircraft in the short term may be all right, but their comments about the long term. Right? I mean, these are aircraft that are wide body aircraft, as you mentioned, Richard, about what do we have to worry about 10, 15, 20 years from now about the stability of the fuselage?
Right. So
that doesn't sound like good engineering.
No, but there are two aspects to it. One of them is the gaps in the fuselage, which when the different parts are put together. The second one is this misdrilling, where allegedly people were jumping up and down on parts of the plane to try and make them line up so they could put the rivets between them. Neither of them is entirely satisfactory, I think you'll agree.
Absolutely, I do agree. And I tell you, the second one that you mentioned, almost always when we see this, not only in aerospace, but other companies, but especially in aerospace being a high-risk industry, is this comes back almost always to quality assurance, Richard. This comes back to the number of people that we have out on the line to assure that these things are being done correctly. And what I would want to know is, and I know there have been cutbacks in that area. I don't know what the percentages are, but where are the original numbers of Boeing had over the years with the number of people that are responsible for checking these things? Where are those people now, Richard?
So the planes that we're talking about will have been manufactured over the last few years. The FAA says, well, they're aware of this and they're looking into it. I guess it's a question of what do you do about it?
Well, what you do about it is, first of all, you have to do a very thorough investigation, right? Because the problem is you can't go in and just scrape the surface. Because if they're going to take action against Boeing, usually in the form of heavy fines or making them park aircraft like we saw with the MAX, they have to have all of their data. And it takes a while to do that. And, and here's another problem we see in aerospace is that it's volumes of data. And it takes a long time to go through that. And I'm not saying that Boeing could be hiding something. What I'm saying is historically, we have seen in aerospace where sometimes things are hidden. So they need to be concerned about that.
Let's put it into bigger, let's go up a level, if we may. Boeing versus Airbus. Now, Airbus has always said to me, they take no pleasure in this because in actual fact, even if there were more orders coming in, they couldn't fill them anyway because their order book is full. And there is a feeling with Airbus anyway, there but for the grace of God go I. It may be Boeing today, but I can remember 10 years ago when Airbus had its own difficulties. So the duopoly serves the industry well up to a point because airlines like to have both to choose to play off against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And Airbus is exactly right. But keep in mind, this is something that's not just going to play out, Richard, over the next year or so, because these orders take place many years into the future. So you're exactly right. It doesn't surprise me what Airbus is saying about this, but that doesn't mean about orders for 5 years from now or 10 years from now. So, even if this is resolved with the FAA over the next 2 or 3 years or sooner, I hope, that doesn't change about orders
Yep.
for even US carriers for Airbus 5 years from now.
Good to see you, Shawn. Always grateful. Thank you, sir.
Always great to see you, Richard.